Okay. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Women's Empower Network. I am so excited to have this guest with us today. This is Donna, and she is going to be talking to us about our whole body. And I'm just going to let her take it away.
Jenny, thank you so much. And hi, everybody, whoever's listening. Yeah, I'm Donna Henhoeffer. So I am what I would say more of a whole body coach. And I do intuitive healing and spiritual guidance. And those tend to be modalities that bring all this together. And when I was smiling with Ginny offline, it was really around what is whole body? Like, what's the whole body coaching, right? And, there's so many levels to it. And at the end of the day, it's really about helping people create a better relationship with their body. And I come to this because I did have a chronic illness. I had endometriosis. So anyone that experiences anything when it comes to reproductive health, and even now, depending where you are in your age, perimenopause and menopause, these are such big topics. And I came to a point of I'm going to say full disempowerment after so many doctors and specialists, and I would hear things but nothing. I was just like, my body's not supposed to have surgery at such a young age. And I would be so disheartened to see other people, women that were younger than me, experiencing these things. And one day it just sort of the intuition kicked in, right? Actually running for me. I finally listened to it on a whole different level. And it just said whole, become whole. And I really, like, I had no idea what it meant. Sure, I could sort of pull a few pieces, but that started the journey, right? And that's why I say whole body coaching. We have this beautiful vessel that so many people are pushing away from, and that was me too, right? When we speak of reproductive health just in general, it's like we're pushing away from not only shame and guilt and upbringing, we're pushing away from the hormones and the chemistry and everything that's going on in this physical vessel. And until we get to that point of then discovering, well, this is the vessel, right? And then there's all these different bodies, right? We have an etheric body, an emotional body, an energetic body, a mental body. And there's so much out there, which I honor it because again, I didn't have the resources in that way. I literally healed it myself. I went into it and I'm like, we're gonna find out from a whole different perspective. So it became, and even still, what's next? There's so many people now discovering or are on the journey, and definitely in your own group, Ginny. And it's what's next though for my body, right? What's next from these 12, and I'm going to say these 12 aspects of me, because there's 12 main aspects that are running all the time, so that we can continue to come into fuller form and blossom and make those connections between our spiritual side and the human side. And it just takes more connecting, new narratives, healing, untangling, deconditioning patterns. And for me, it's like this thing, the body is juicy, right? Like we're designed to love it. We're designed to love us. We're designed to figure out what to do with it next, because it is the thing that's going to take us, whether that's for business, for play, for cleaning the house. I don't care what it is. If we don't love this and push it away in any form or fashion, we're dishonoring what I believe is the human experience, right? So I guess I'll sort of go there, right? Because my work takes it into so many avenues, right? Yeah.
Well, you mentioned that when you got into it, what does that mean when you first started realizing that you needed to heal yourself and getting into it?
Well, I guess the thing was, so yeah, getting into a great question. It's really starting to um really be honest with myself, vulnerable with myself. What's really happening here? And I think probably we speak of curiosity, which it is 100%. And there's a curiosity that I would say is asking new questions. We need to ask new questions, different questions. This mind is not here to be used in the way that it is. It's like we need to ask questions outside of us, right? So that big mind, God, source, the universe, Gus, whatever you want to call it, it can bring you in. It's the So it was that, and it was being willing to act upon the wisdom. I would get things all the time, like, "I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. You can't be kidding me. I can't do that." Right? My heart was like, "Oh my God, I can't do that." Because I'd never done that, whatever that was, fill in the blank. And it just became, okay. And it's the same thing with my clients. It's like, "Well, I can't do that. I'm not going into that trauma, or I'm not going into that scenario," right? Because it's a perception of something. And when I get to work with the energetics, and when I discovered that on my own, mine was really because I needed to speak to my body. I then could start to see the cells in the blood, the things doing different things. And then I just started talking to me differently, literally speaking to me differently. And again, I'll delve a little bit into pain, right? Mine just, I'm going to use it as my ovaries, right? Because I would feel cysts and fibroids getting bigger or whatever, and I'd be like, "Ugh," and the force of the anger that was inside me would be directed to whichever ovary I could feel growing, right? Well, all that did was exacerbate the pain, was exponential, and it was taking and this is part of the mucking around and the clumsiness of figuring out, okay, well, hold on a second. My words are creating that. My whole everything I'm putting my focus towards, and you may have heard it, or anybody that's listening may have heard or not. You know what? Energy goes where our attention is, right? The energy flows to where the attention goes. And it needed to me be like, okay, that's not working. How am I gonna, what do I really want? So it became dissipating it. But then it became me creating a whole connection. And so I just started that, and then just started working with energy and figuring out I can do a little bit of this, right? I was very good, and this was the thing. I was so disconnected from me. We think we're disconnected from humanity. We're disconnected from ourselves. And I would yeah, I just it was that pushing it away, and not taking the wisdom that was coming in, and knowing how to act on it, and how to heal the heart and coax the heart out. That's the bigger thing. I think that, it's the bringing the wisdom in and staying in the body, because there's a lot of people that are connected to higher realms or different realms, or they can hear, and it's a fear that's happening when they don't know what to do with it, because we don't know how to get it past the heart and into the body and onto the earth, and make it here more practical. And then it's being willing to start to not just feel that sensation, to know what the emotion wants to tell you, because otherwise we don't close loops. So it started, right? I mean, I think I answered your question, or I certainly did for me, in terms of you kept going. Then once I realized what I could do, I'm like, oh, I'm never stopping. You mean my energy is being put out there? It became this, oh my gosh. I felt it wasn't the powerful. I was more, and I'm not going to say afraid. It was more like, holy, like this humbling, oh wow. Now that didn't mean it didn't take more mucking, and there's more coming on, and things, but it was like, wow, I'm putting part of me out there all the time. Then that did become, I want to clean up what is out there. And I know a lot of people will live in the, but what energy, you can't do anything or whatever. I'm like, sure you can. It's all where you're willing to go the next level, right? The next stage. And we do have the capacity. And I know there's so many mindset people out there, and it totally is, except the nurturing the part of the heart. We're kids that were not taught how to love, how to grow up, how to finish being kids, and we're put out in the big world to strive and succeed and push and be, yeah, all those things. So it was who the heck am I, right? So yeah, yeah.
Well, I've come to learn that life is happening for us, not to us. And so when we stop resisting what's going on and tune in, and that your body's trying to talk to you.
100%. And I think, for anyone on the journey, because it's a journey, none of us are done. So whoever's listening to this, I don't care what level you think you're at or are, it's like, we're not done. It's the discovering the nuances of our own language, because again, we and anybody might be watching that's like, oh my gosh, they've got it together, they figured it out. Well, sure, in many ways I've learned to listen to what does that mean for me, and when it's not working, what am I doing that's stepping me in the way, and is it time for me to shift how I'm speaking to myself, how I'm listening to myself, let alone everyone else out there, right? So there are different levels, and I think, in my own healing, that's when I came into, because I always knew I had a spiritual connection, right? But then that was religion. I needed to cut through some religious upbringing, right? And then it became, okay, but what do I do with it? Oh, I want to play with this. So I mean, I was a chef before I ever got into this, and I have and I always did. I just never really realized it when I was cooking until I sort of mucked it all down in oh, I have a very innate nature with food. I can speak right to it. It's talking to me, and so I can imprint food and what we eat, right? We all can, but that is what I do. And nature. So when I say food, it's nature, whatever, because I always had that connection was so strong for me. Um, it's just where does it go next? And then with the healing, the hardest thing I think for me was to speak to, and still is for people that are so logical, right? Science minded, corporate minded. It's like, okay, hold on a second. We need to get a little more creative and play here. There needs to be a different level of trust so that you can sort of go into okay, let's hone in on this. Let's play with it. My modality came in so I could open people's fields, and I had this capacity to open up, and I still do. It's not like it's gone. But to help them reconnect to that sense of possibility that's been lost, right? It's not lost, but that's been suppressed, right? That has been so much reaction. And it's like, oh my God, that's like the best to me. It's like, oh my God. And then I get to talk to whoever's coming in for you and my guys, and we get to play together. Because it brings back this sense that you lost somewhere along the way. So my own modality does that. But then for the logical thinkers, I mean, I came across so I was always, first of all, connected to nature and the moon. I was a big astrology moon person. But now I came across like human design, quantum human design, all these things. And I'm like, oh, what a great little tool. But I can synthesize it to just help people in that, oh, here's a structural piece. Now we can go into where are you out of sorts? Where are you not in your foundation, right? So that what we do, who we are, what we want to do, all comes online. Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking, and what you were talking about is, being in our heads, being in our corporate life, being influenced by our outside world that, you need to get a good job so you can make a living, so you can support yourself. But if you're denying your sole purpose for being here and your calling and your gifts, and a lot of us, you take it for granted because that's the thing that's easiest for you. But
Mhm.
then all this other noise gets in the way. I think that's what a lot of people, I've heard a lot of stories about people in corporate life started getting more and more sick because it wasn't where they were supposed to be anymore.
Yeah. Well, and we do. We're in an era, right? Where burnout has become the thing. We go through these big cycles. Life's great, and then we burn out or whatever that is. And that's because we're not in the core of who we are. We oftentimes don't know what we want because we've been people pleasing, and I'm going to use that in a way which is we're doing it for everyone else. We have no problem as a humanity to show up for work to exactly like you said, get the raise, tell my boss I'm doing a good job, show up for my colleagues, lead, right? Instead of, you can still be that. We still need people in corporate world. This is not about that. It's to say, how do you, right? How do you clean up what's going on so you serve better, you lead better? Nowhere in any of this is saying everybody needs to be a spiritual coach or needs to, what it's just, you need to trust. We need people that are coming online to who that is so that corporate runs differently. We're all designed to make money, have all these things. You get to decide, except you get to decide from a space. Well, my thing is, and it is your decision. It's all a choice. It's just what are you building for the future, right? And of course, we're human. It's like, well, I want to see more of that for me in my own life. Yes, and right at the end of the day, how do you play both of those worlds in such a beautiful, brilliant way for where you are now, right? It still isn't a, it's not a competition. I used to think it was because and it wasn't, I often think, was it a competition or more of a just, you got, yes, you got to get better, but I didn't ever think it was like I was competing against that person per se. Sure, at times I guess, but it was more, oh my gosh, it was, I wanted to be loved as much as I saw or felt or deemed other people were loved, or that they were the authority, or that they were the ones, right? So it was me compromising that, that's, I have that capacity to pull those qualities in. Well, they actually already live in me, but to work with those qualities, right? So that we stand in, what is that for me? Yeah. So the body's got it all going on. I'm just about, I want you to sing with this body. Like, as in, it doesn't have to be vocal singing, but I want it to just be fluid dance. My friends are always like, oh my God, you're like, and I'm like, I know, right? Because I'm like, I'm a solutions person for everybody. I'm like, oh my God, I can find that. I'll figure that out, right? Because I get so much fun to see everybody else light up. It was me. How do I see me lighting up? But again, we all come from it in a different way, right? So, yeah.
Well, and that's something really important that you said, that a lot of us look for love outside of ourselves.
Yeah.
Validation. Oh, if I just do this job good, or if I just take care of this man, he'll love me, instead of realizing that's an inside job.
Right. It is. And I think there's still something, though, to be said for, as we move through these experiences, we still do want recognition, right? In some form. You wouldn't have a group if you didn't. And I don't mean it from a, I mean, like, I mean it purely from the, we need to be recognized that we do have this capacity. We want to draw people in, however that is. So it's just, is it coming from, sort of more of that humble, I've got this great gift that I can offer the world, versus I need it because I need, 97 trophies standing at the back of me to make myself look good. Because there's a big difference there, right? So there is something around that validation. And it is validating yourself, but even to be recognizing yourself, to see yourself doing this while other people recognize that, because we all are that part of the other, right? So yeah, I think there's so much to be like, oh, well, I can't do this and I should do that. And I can't do that. It's like, hold on, just keep coming back. And when we do tune in more and more and trust that, right? Because that's the big thing, coming in quiet inside, um, to be okay. Am I getting that recognition from vanity? And I'm going to use maybe the lower realm of vanity, right? Versus, am I coming into it because, oh, I do need to see and experience myself being recognized, and me recognizing myself in that. And that's a journey, right? Like, that's the journey that I think a lot of people, who might be on the path, are just, they don't get, right? And there's so many things you don't get at all because there's all these nuances, right? I think the hardest thing that I see out there, or hardest, not for me, but what I see people perceive as the hardest is, oh, that I can't go there. Oh, no, I'm not going there. Right? Like, they know that emotions, right? They don't feel them. So many people don't feel their emotions. I don't. I could feel everything. I could sense it all, which is why I can do what I do. I can sense right into the body. Um, but it's that so much fear that we have as a humanity, right? And it's just learning, is that my fear actually, or is that the collective fear? Because those are other pieces too. And I think at the end of the day, it's, who does who does Donna, and I know that's just an identity, but still, I am who I am, here to bring this to the world now, to whatever, you the same. How do I be me, right? And being me means through the heart, and express who I am now, knowing that it's going to change and evolve. Um, and this just gets to be a part of the path, right? Yeah. And it is. It is kind of hard to explain to people in such a way. It's the, just keep trusting. When you're ready, you're ready. And I think that's the other thing. When you're ready, you're ready. Because the heart needs to be coaxed back out, depending where you are in the journey. and you said something too, Jenny, and I just want to, to be needed by that person or loved by the partner or whatever you had said, 100%. And you get to still be loved by them because there's both, right? And I think we hold so well, I mean, I know you know this, but I guess I'm really speaking to more here, whoever's listening. We get to do both. We get to hold both, right? I love me first and foremost, and I love that that other person, whoever it is, loves me as well, and I get to love in their world, right? Yeah, yeah,
Yes, it's what comes to mind is we we can only see in others what we can see in ourselves. And so if we don't see love in ourselves, we're not going to get that reflected back to us. I mean, we are, but
yeah,
not to the fullest extent. If our heart is closed and we're looking for somebody else to fill it,
right.
versus having an open heart and then allowing somebody else to be there to help it shine even more.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. 100% for sure. And something that came to me just as you were speaking around um just around loving and being around the right people that keep lifting up our heart. There's so many people out there that's like, I got to push this away and I got to let that go and I got to do this. And I'm like, 100%, when it's meant to go, it's meant to go as well. And letting go for me is there's a little, I mean, like anything, there's so many levels, right? Because forgiveness is the first part of it. There's also something that's so brilliant. So let's say I'm just going to use it as an example, which is I came on here and it's like, oh my gosh, what if I didn't like this? And I was just like, well, in that is something so brilliant when you get to the stages and where I'm at. I mean, I don't know where you're at, but it's like, why don't I? What are they activating in me? Like, people want to push that way. They're not my people. Hold on a second. Sometimes I'm like, they're the best people because it's like, wow, what it just came up in me that gets to be looked at. Right. And that's the scary part for people, especially early on, but where it's like, oh no, this is good. I'm not saying don't find all the people, because of course we want to call on the people that are, divinely right and all that, right? All this love stuff. Yes, 100%. But it's like, oh, because we're never done. So it's like, oh, what are you bringing up in me, right? So yeah, that's kind of next level maybe for people, but
That may be that. No, it's so funny because if I feel intimidated by somebody, I'm going to dive even harder. I'm gonna look even deeper, like, why do I feel that way? And as soon as I get to know the person, it was something I made up in my head, you
yeah.
know.
And there's 100%. And then there's okay, but so my perspective is, if it's there's still something, yes, made up in the head, except because it brought an emotional response to me. I'm the person, like, this is huge what I love to do on the alchemical side, right? Is to, how do I purify that within me, if that's a way to say it here, which is looking at, where did that experience, what did it trigger, activate in me, and to discover how to heal that version of me that's somewhere, so that I'm not just leaving it as oh yeah, I know. Because that's where we get stuck in these loops, why it'll come back again and why it comes back bigger and stronger and whatever. And it's like, there are ways to close these loops, right? Remember, we've got a soul, we've got a body, we've got a spirit. We need to get those three working together, so that so again, the body, it's all in the body. It's just the physicality out there is what's expressing it. Um, but yeah, that's always the gem for me, which is like, oh, right, I got to go back and I get to, like, I do. And I have friends that are like, seriously, meaning for you? I'm like, oh yeah. Like, I'm like, yeah. 'Cause they're not where well, I have different friends. I'm like, okay, you're in my life for a reason. Why? Right. And that's where you get to, why am I in relationship with this person? How do I relate to this person? What do I want to discover about myself? So asking about these bigger questions, it's not like, why am I here? No, well, yes, it's just in relationship here. Okay, why am I here? But what is it? What is it about what you're creating? Why did I want to be here? Right? Like, these are questions. And again, part of it is you might want to, I don't care, journal, write it down. You already know. But then there's the part of it which might show up after, or And after meaning in 10 minutes, or it could be 3 days, it could be 4 weeks, but oh my gosh, that's exactly why I needed to meet that person, right? Again, we want to think we need to know it all right now, right? Because we're supposed to, because then we get a better paycheck for a better job, because then we can laterally move in the company or move up to the next. And I'm not saying that's not all. It's just, it's all there to play with, right? So we have to
Just an
play with it.
ongoing journey. It
It is.
is. So
So
are
good.
there any last words of wisdom that you would like to share with the group?
I think the maybe greatest piece of wisdom is be true to yourself, even though you I'm not saying probably, I started to, but and again, I'm going with people that maybe not at the level, because sometimes it can be bigger. But if you're not sure what it is, don't have that be something to hold you back. Ask yourself if you're willing to try something different. Ask someone for some guidance, right? Not everyone out there is okay, I have the call, I need the thing. No, just find what it is and trust your heart. Trust your heart. It's in your body. It's you, right? This is you. Your soul's in there. It needs you to just where who you are this time right now. That's yeah. Yeah. And it's a journey, and find it. And know, for anybody that's out there that's like, okay, even we have clients, we do things, all this stuff. It's like we need to keep expanding that too, in whatever form or fashion, because there's so many aspects of our lives that so yeah, you're not done. Keep going.
Now, and there's a little nugget you said in there is sometimes we struggle silently alone. And I highly recommend, and I was a solopreneur for a long time and did a lot of healing on my own, but there is so much more power and synergy to work with somebody, especially somebody you feel connected to, that speak your same language, that you feel drawn to. They're part of your journey for some reason. So how can people get a hold of you? I mean, we'll put it down in the comments, but
Easiest thing is my name that you see right on the screen. My website's that, my Facebook's that, so there you go. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. My
there you
email,
go. Keep it
Donna.
simple.
Yeah. Keep it simple. It's easier, right? So yeah, yeah. Do reach out. And if it's just to have a call, or to, to say something that you enjoyed about it, or there's something that you didn't get, ask for clarification, whatever it is. I think that is the big part. We look at women's empowerment, and we didn't even get into this, and we're not going to right now, but yes, it's empower us and empower others, right? But we need to come to us first, and it's bringing all that back to you. Everything that's out there, bring it back online. So yeah,
That is
yeah.
beautiful. I have so loved this. And thank you so much for being here, part of this group. I know that you're a blessing. You're going to be a blessing to so many more people. And let's do this again.
All right, I appreciate it so much, and yes, absolutely, we'll do it again. All right, take care, everyone. Thank you.